Welcome back to Malaka Motorsports. I'm Stav, and on today's video, I'm going to be doing an RS3 depinning video. Now, this is something that I actually was kind of opposed to doing, but a lot of people have messaged me asking me to do it. Apparently, you know, when I originally researched it, I was telling people just Google it, you know, check on YouTube. I'm sure there's a video out there on how to remove the connectors and the pins. But a lot of them are just based on the 2.0 TFSI coil, which is a very common coil, and those will work on this harness. But there's a lot of different style connectors, you know, that are completely different style, and a lot of people don't know or confused how to remove them. They think that there's no way to remove them, and you know, when Audi now sells them, they actually sell them with a connector in pigtail in the harness, and people are cutting them and, you know, butt connecting them on, which, you know, technically could work, but it's also potential to cause an even bigger issue. Some of the things that you could, you know, again, if you just have to replace the, you know, dried, rotted plastic connector, it's very easy to remove. Some simple tools, like I'll show you in the video, you know, all you need. But the last thing I want to do is, the last resort is to actually cut it and put butt connectors, and then, you know, re-put it back on, because, you know, that you do run the risk of having now 3 more potential failures for it, all depending on how many connections there are. So I'm going to go through and show you guys. I'm not going to show every single connector. What I'm going to do is, there's a lot of the same style connectors on it. There's about 10 connectors that work with the knock sensors and the cam solenoid B and all the things. There's a lot of the same styles. I'm going to go through and show you guys one, and it all relates to all of them because they're all the same. So hopefully you guys like this video. I'm trying to go as detailed as possible. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. If there's anything that you want to see while I'm doing this, please let me know and I'll make a video for you guys. I actually enjoyed making this. This actually took the longest time to make this video because I had to keep making sure that I was in focus and that you got to really see and I didn't skip any steps, because that's the last thing that I hate about some of the DIYs. You know, they'll be like, oh, here, to remove this connector, and boom, it's already the next picture or next part of the video. They've already jumped 4 steps. I'm showing you guys every step. I hope you guys like it. Let me know what you guys think. Style of connector I want to show you guys are these very, very common on Volkswagen, Audis all around. They call them D-shaped connectors. There's many different forms of them. You know, again, they're on the TFSI coil like that one, the RS3 coil like this one here. This is the injector harness where the injector connects into 10 pins, 5 powers, 5 signal wires. But again, even though they're all different and work for different things, you know, and there's hundreds of videos on these coil packs, they all essentially work the exact same. You know, you have to remove the connector from the inside. You remove that pink connector right here and then pop it out, and, you know, like I'll show you guys here. Let's see, pull it out of the connector, and I want to show you guys behind all the coil pack wiring, there's like a 90-degree terminal that essentially puts it here and allows it to go in a certain direction. All the wires are starting to, all the ground wires are starting to fray over here. So, you know, I mean, if that's something you want to go check, or if you're having a misfire, possibly check that connector could be potentially bad ground. And they found this on all the housing. So we'll just go through. You pop this connector out. It's pretty easy. Boom, out. Sometimes you can do it with your fingernail. I happen to not have fingernail, so you pop it out, and then you do need a special tool or like a really thin pick. But again, really buying these tools, $40 for the 30-piece set on Amazon, really comes in handy, because if you plan on doing a bunch of this, you know, this really could save a lot of time, and you don't want to end up breaking connectors because you push too hardly by not having the right tool. So, you know, you push it in from the front. Put a little tension, you hear that little click, and it should be coming right out. Ooh, yeah, a little bit of tension. Sometimes if they're old and dirty, you take a little bit of you know, what do you call, a little bit of a Greek force, I guess they call it, Greek force 1. But pop it out, and, you know, now the wiring is completely out of here. So just wanted to show you guys how to remove these connectors. There's a lot of videos on these, so I won't go into too much time, but I wanted to show you guys the wiring and how they're starting to fray over here. A couple of them were worse than this, but you know, they were only on the ground side of the wiring, which is interesting. So, you know, give that a look, you know, and check that out. All right, guys, full disclosure, I didn't get a manicure, But I just wanted to show you guys, this is a very common sensor on the RS3 TTRS, 3-pin. Also comes in a 2-pin configuration. You'll see that when it's powering solenoids, VVTi. These go to the intake manifold flap, and then cam solenoid B, which is essentially one next to every single coil pack. You'll see this on parallel to the coil pack. Pretty common connector amongst every Volkswagen Audi these days, and they happen to be a very nice connector. So when you see them installed, you'll see this red locking pin. Make sure when you do not put a flathead underneath here. They come out really easily. You don't have to put a lot of force. And again, these are still less than 25,000 miles on these connectors, and they're still fragile. Make sure you just put your fingernail underneath it and boom, pop it up, which now allows the inside lock to back out. This thing has 3 different locks. It has the red retaining lock. It has the secondary retaining lock, which is this purple connector right here, which holds in every single pin to make sure that those don't pop out of the holder. And then it has this light gray strain relief on the wire. Pretty nice. Again, little connector, multiple different ways that you have to make sure to remove before you take them off, and I'll show you guys that here shortly. But one thing I wanted to show you guys before I show you how to remove it, as you see, this is the intake manifold flap. I cut this off of the harness. We're no longer using it for our RS3, but as you see, it's in very good shape. When we move it, still less than 25,000 miles. Again, the wire there's no rips there. Looks like it's in overall very good shape. The same connector that is now on the cam solenoid, which is right next to every single coil pack, if you look at them, because they're so close to the exhaust manifold, the back of the wires, if you look here closely, I mean, all the insulation is essentially rubbed off. And this is not just one harness and isolated. I have 3 different harnesses here, and basically 14 of the 15 cam solenoid connectors for all 3 harnesses are exactly like this. So if you're having a intermittent issue or any type of short to ground, common, ECU, check a lot of the wiring back here. It's underneath the connector. It's very close to the heat source. Just wanted to give you guys a quick little showing of something I found and maybe a potential issue that you could find down the road. Or if you wanted to go through now and insulate it now, put some kind of heat tape around it to protect this before something like this gets worse. Or check it if you're having this issue, fix it now. So let's go ahead and show you guys how to depin this connector. It's pretty common. This one does not need any kind of special tool. This is a typical flathead screwdriver you will find anywhere. A little like computer tool, little kit. You can get these on Amazon. This one's a Cobalt, pretty cheap little one, but it works great. So first thing you need to do is remove this little clip. See right here, boom, pops out. You could do that with your fingernails if you had them. I don't happen to have any. But yeah, comes right out. Fully remove it. Some people like to take it off halfway. Sometimes it's still holding one in, and you'll fight it. I just like to remove it, put it to the side, and again, you won't have any issues. You're not fighting yourself to make sure that it gets done. And then the secondary connector that you have is this light gray connector that you see back here. Again, flathead screwdriver. We will pop this off. Let's see, boom. Gotta get a little bit on each side. Sometimes it's a little bit more painful than the other. Sometimes they pop off real easy, but of course, because I'm on camera, this one's gonna fight me, and it's putting up a pretty good fight. But I'm gonna win this. All right. See, that one's out. Boom, it's out of there. So you pull that out. Almost out. I'm glad it's fighting me so that I look like I don't know how to do this on the internet. Comes out. Now you have the wires again. Now they're able to move easily because the plastic is no longer holding them in. And the last part. Now you could use a pick. I happen to have the right tool. Right here in the back, you'll see the 2 individual lines right over here. And there's 2 locking pins. I'll show you when it comes out. You can do this with a regular pick, 2 little flatheads. Just hold it in, hold a little bit of tension on the wire, and boom, you hear that little click and out. Now essentially, I'm not sure how well you're going to see this. You see right here, there's 2 pins that are basically backed out right there, and that's essentially what you're pushing in to be able to allow to pull that wire out. Very easy. We'll show you again right now. Very easy if you have to remove this connector. Don't need any trick tools. I happen to have the right tool, but you you could use, you could use a little flathead still, and just pull this right out of the connector. Easy, replace it, fix the wiring, fix that little insulation part. You don't have to use a butt connector. Just want to show you guys and give you some tips, stuff I found. So let's move on to the next connector. Thing is, when before you remove the wiring, like I did on this connector to show you guys, make sure to mark down that 1 is like the color code, 2 is black, 3 is brown, however the colors are in your connector, because again, each harness will be a little different. RS3 will be the same, but just saying in general for what you're working on, just in case, when you pull it apart, in case you forget or you're not going to finish the same day, when you do go back to put it together, you can double check and verify that you put them in the right order, so you don't have to remove them again. And just it can't hurt to double check and make sure you do it correctly. So that's want to tell you guys that real quick, because I have put them in the wrong pins before and then wondered why it's not working, and then go to check it and I'm like, oh, I feel like a dummy. So take the extra 30 seconds, double check, can't hurt anything. And yeah, pretty easy, pretty standard connector. I won't spend too much time on this one because again, this is there's like 1,000 videos on just this connector itself. The next one is the injector harness, pretty common, used in Volkswagens and Audis for many years. This one happens to be broken. Let me see the other one. You can see the difference. Came on the harness broken, so I was like, oh, perfect example to show you guys how to switch them out if you plan on, you're redoing your harness. Don't need any special tools for this one at all, just a skinny flathead screwdriver, and there's a locking pin. Now, if you're looking at it from this angle, where the lock is on this side that's broken, the lock, there's a pin inside there that basically on the terminal that sticks out, like angled like this, and you're just basically gonna flick it back and then remove the terminal. So let's try this out. Let's see if I can do this. Boom. All right, that didn't work out. Oh, popped right out, and it's out. You're gonna hear a very faint little click, and when you put it back in, obviously you're gonna hear it click again, but I'll show you guys here. So I'll try my best to give you guys the best angle. Flathead little screwdriver. Boom, out. Now, it does not matter which orientation you put these wires back. You can actually reverse them, would make a difference. But I still like to put it back exactly the way the factory was. So again, we'll put, looking at the terminal this way, the white wire was on the right side. Make sure if you have the terminal this way, the locking, I don't know how well you could see it, is that piece of plastic inside there. That's what, this piece on the terminal touches. That's essentially what you're pushing back. So let's put it back in place. Boom, you hear that click, that one's back in place. Same thing again, same orientation. Now both locked, both click, back in, and now you replaced your connector. Very simple. Don't need to cut anything, don't need to put any butt connectors, because those are just potential failures that, and of course, sometimes in some motors they're hard to get to. They're not, you have to pull the rail to get to them on certain things. You don't want to create any more problems over a piece of plastic that's easily removable. These are pretty easy to remove. You guys saw, just wanted to give you guys a little tip, and that's how you replace the injector clips. Alright guys, so this is the knock sensor, pretty common connector you'll find on a few different places along the harness. What you'll see here is there's another connector that looks very similar to this on like the DIs, and those have a fourth actual lock. I'll show you guys this here. So you have the first lock, which is this gray. You pull this back. Without being able to pull back, you'll not be able to get the connector off the sensor unless you break it, which I highly recommend you don't. So let's say this one's fully pulled back now. You're able to move it as you see. The next step would be to removing these pins, is to remove this little lock here. Again, a little flathead, do not put a lot of force, comes right out, falls right out. Good to go. The third retaining clip is right here. And what I like to do is I like to, basically hold it this way, have a little bit of tension, and with one hand, so that when you put the, screwdriver in it, it just pops right out. Very easy, doesn't just stay locked in place. Next one here, boom, boom, and didn't work that time. So let's try it again. Boom. When you put in these back, make sure that you do hear a click when you put them back in to make you. That's how you know they're engaged. And of course, give it a little tug. Make sure it wasn't like it didn't false seat. So put it back in the same orientation where you took them out. Make sure if you don't remember, take a picture, write it down. Some of these are labeled. These one I don't see a label on them, but I always like to take a picture so in this orientation, the yellow wire is on the left, or however that your connector is, and boom, you hear that's in. Pull on it, and Now it's good to go. But don't forget to put this locking pin back in. And even with these giant Sasquatch hands, I'm still able to get this. And again, small little screwdriver. You'll see this on the DI injector. The DI injector will have a fourth lock, which will be back here, which will be very similar to how the first lock I showed you guys was. You got a little gray connector and you just pop it out. So all very similar, and all can be done with very minimal tools here. We've done about 80% of these again with just this little flathead screwdriver. So, you know, I hope you guys liked this video. Let me know in the comments if you guys, you know, enjoyed this. If there's something else you wanted to see, you know, give me some ideas, because a few people have asked me for these specific connectors, and I didn't want to do the 2.0 ones. Everyone's done that video. I wanted to show you guys something, and hopefully this helps you guys when you're replacing your connectors.